Welcome back. In today's video, we're talking about social media and more specifically, which social media platforms you should be showing up on for your brand and business. If you struggle doing all the things on all the different platforms, then this video is definitely for you. Of Brandmerry.com, and I'm excited to chat with you today about social media. I 100% understand the pain that comes from trying to figure out where you should be showing up online. I mean, there are a lot of platforms to choose from, more than I'm going to actually name in this specific video, but some of my personal favorites are Facebook, Instagram, we have LinkedIn, we have your blog, Pinterest, podcasting, YouTube, Twitter. You have a lot of choices at your fingertips, and it's really hard to identify where you should be showing up in order to really increase your brand awareness and build a community. And what I see happening in the online space a ton is that entrepreneurs are trying to be everywhere. And as a result, they're number one, creating mediocre content, and number two, they are struggling with consistency. I mean, think about it. If you're trying to be on 5 different platforms and you're just starting out, it's going to be really hard to consistently build content and build a community on that platform. So since I understand that struggle very personally, in today's video, I'm sharing with you 5 things that I want you to take into account that are going to help you choose the right platform for you. If you're excited about this video, be sure to give it a like below and don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss future videos coming your way. Let's get into number 1. The first thing I want you to do is figure out where you enjoy showing up. Business aside, where are you spending a lot of your time? In the beginning, especially as a new entrepreneur, it's important that you enjoy getting onto the platform when you need to post your content. If you hate Instagram, like I did in the beginning, you're not going to want to show up on Instagram, and therefore you're going to be inconsistent. So I want you to think about where you enjoy showing up on social media. Now is not the time to tell me that you don't like social media. That is not a way out, because you absolutely need to be showing up online if you are building an online business. So let's put that aside and think about the platforms that are most enjoyable to you. Again, in the beginning of my business, I started on Facebook. I was already on Facebook for my personal life, and so creating a Facebook page and a group seemed like the easiest next step. I dedicated my time and energy to that specific platform and building a community before I moved into another one. I want you to think of 2 to 3 platforms that you enjoy spending your time on. And that leads us to tip number 2. Now we need to figure out where your audience is hanging out. In the beginning, I didn't ask you what's the one platform that you're 100% committed to and you will not budge at all, because if you're showing up on Facebook and your audience isn't on Facebook, we're going to have a problem. So now that you have 2 to 3 platforms that you enjoy, it's time to really take that back and think of where your audience is actually hanging out online. If you've done market research, which I'm a big advocate for, this should be a really easy thing to really pinpoint. It's really simple to ask your audience, your ideal client, hey, where are you spending most of your time? And if you don't have an audience already, an audience of your own, then look at your ideal client and do a little behind the scenes research on where they're spending most of their time. For instance, if you are targeting millennials, the chances of them being on Instagram are huge. If you're targeting moms, they're probably hanging out on Facebook quite a bit. So understanding your audience, who you're trying to target, will help you really shrink down where you need to be showing up online. The next thing I want you to decide is how you will show up online. So this is also going to impact the platform in which you ultimately choose. For instance, if you love to do video, then you need to decide if you're a big fan of live video or pre-recorded video. If you're like, I'm pre-recorded all the way, then YouTube is probably a great choice for you. If you know that you prefer audio, then think about starting a podcast. If you love to write and specifically love long form, then you could really choose blogging as one of your platforms. If you're totally into photography, then Instagram is probably your place. What you really want to identify is how you ultimately enjoy showing up for your audience. The last thing I want you to do is commit to Instagram and then realize you hate creating photos. Again, this is not the only platform that you're going to be showing up on forever and ever. The idea here is to snowball. But in the beginning, I want you to focus on 1 to 2 platforms that you enjoy, that your audience is hanging out on, and then we will continue to grow. In the beginning, again, I was just focused on Facebook and Facebook groups. About 6 months later, I started to focus on Instagram. Then a year later, I was on Pinterest, and now we're just now getting into YouTube hardcore. So I didn't start doing all of this in the beginning. I really took my time to focus on each platform individually. Number 4, how often do you want to show up for your community? Look, we all have different schedules. Do I want you to be showing up multiple times a week? Absolutely. Is that realistic for everyone? No. Are you a bad person or a bad entrepreneur because you're not showing up 5 days a week? Absolutely not. There are specific platforms that are designed for people who maybe don't want to show up every single day. For instance, if you're on Instagram, you need to be focused on showing up consistently for your audience, whether that's with stories, IGTV, Instagram Live, or just your feed. But if you're doing things like YouTube or podcasting, maybe you only need to post once a week. The same goes for blogging. So really keep in mind what makes sense for you at this season of your life and where you can consistently show up online. I know I keep saying consistently, but if there is one thing that is the most important element in building a community through social media, it's consistently showing up for your people. All right, I'm hoping now you have a clear idea of one platform that you definitely want to get started on. And I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball. This is something that is often not talked about when we talk about social media, when we talk about showing up online. And that is the fact that I want one of your platforms to be optimized as a search engine. What do I mean by this? I mean that I don't want you just showing up on Facebook and Instagram. Those are not really searchable platforms, and they're not really doing any favors for you in terms of reaching a new audience quickly. What I mean by search engine optimization are platforms like YouTube, Pinterest, and Google. These platforms are platforms in which someone is specifically going to search for a topic that you're an expert in, meaning that they're already a hot or warm lead. So by making this YouTube video, someone isn't just scrolling through YouTube and are like, wow, I'm going to watch this random video that this girl is making about social media and branding and business. No, they've typed into the YouTube search bar and said, how to pick a social media platform for my brand. And as a result, my video came up. So they are already a very targeted lead for my business and my brand as a whole. And this is where I really want you to focus. This can be, again, YouTube, Pinterest, blog, and you can totally cross these over. In fact, in a video I'm doing in just a couple weeks, we're talking about repurposing, which you're going to absolutely love. You'll set yourself up better long term if one of your platforms in the beginning is focused on search engine optimization. In the beginning, I focused on blogging, and as a result, the majority of our traffic today is coming from Google search, and those people are targeted leads. You don't need to be everywhere online, especially in the beginning. That's going to just stretch you way too thin, and you're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to throw in the towel, and you're going to be like, I hate content creation, and I don't want that for you. The smartest thing that you can do as an entrepreneur is choose 1 to 2 platforms, one of those platforms being search engine optimized, and start showing up and building a community. I hope you guys loved this video today. Be sure to like the video, subscribe, and click the bell so you get notified when a new video is released next week. In fact, next week, I'm talking to you about repurposing your content. So if you're like, Michelle, I know my 2 platforms, I'm going to teach you how to extend the life of your content, how to show up on multiple platforms without actually creating more content, and the importance of repurposing. So make sure you tune in next week for that video. See you guys soon.